What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to our next installment of the QRP head-to-head series. So, over the course of the past two videos, the G90 has come out on top both times. So, we put it up against the True SDX, and the G90 came out on top. And then we put it up against the FX4CR, and while that one was really close, this came out on top as well. The feature set just lends itself to being a good all-around radio for field use and whatnot. So today, we're gonna put the G90 up against its toughest competition yet. And so just to rehash or reiterate what we already know about the G90. So the Xiegu G90 retails for about $445. Again, that depends. You can find deals. You can find them used a lot cheaper, things like that. We've been over the size and the weight. It's 1.77 by 4.72 by 8.26. Weighs 4.33 pounds. 20 watts output. It's got a color waterfall and pan adapter. Fantastic tuner. It's 160 to 10. It does phone, CW, and digital. We've seen a lot of this radio, and I'll fire it up again for this video, but I'm not going to go through all the features and everything again because, to be honest, we've already seen them in the past two videos, right? So I don't need to keep reiterating the same stuff with this radio over and over again, but I do want to make sure that everybody's familiar with it. So we're going to put the G90 up against, like I said, its toughest competition yet, and that competition is going to come in the form of the Lab599 Discovery TX-500. Now, this is, without a doubt, the best built radio, amateur radio you can buy, I think. At least HF radio. Short of being military radios, this is about as stout as you're going to get. Now, I've got it in a QRP store, 3D printed stand. It doesn't come with that. It's got little little kickstands that flip out of the back to stand it up, but I find, especially for here in the shack, excuse me, this gives my viewing angle a little bit more reasonableness. So this radio, you've seen this on my channel before. So this radio is about $1,150. That price can fluctuate. Sometimes they're a little bit less, sometimes they're a little bit more. Availability can be hit or miss. Right now, they're in stock pretty much everywhere at HRO. HRO is the only U.S. distributor. If you're in other parts of the world, you're looking like Desert Wireless, things like that. The size is 3.5 by 8.1 by 0.8 inches. Weighs 19.4 ounces. Power output's 10 watts. It actually puts out a little bit more than that. This is a very rugged, very weather-resistant radio. It has a monochrome pan adapter. It does not have a waterfall, but it does have a pan adapter. Now, it is very easy to read in sunlight. It has superb audio. It's got very good filtering. It's got a fantastic receiver. This radio is also 160 to 6, and this will do phone, CW, and digital as well. You do need a external sound card if you're going to do digital with this radio. So, like, I have a digi-rig for this thing. And that works quite well. So let's grab the G90 and real quick just go through the layout for anybody who may have missed my previous videos. Again, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this radio because we've seen it on the channel multiple times already. Let me get my power supply, plug this in. I'm using that Pro Audio Engineering power supply again. This is a great power supply. All right. Grab our antenna. Got to do the same thing I did last time and unscrew it from the back of my radio because I wasn't ready for this. We'll go ahead and screw this back into the back of this radio. Okay. So, go ahead and fire it up. And again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this particular radio. We've seen it before. I don't know if we can get any signals right now. I'm on 40 meters and it's dark out, so let's go down to... So here we'll go down to 40 meters, and 40 meters is, I got a lot of CW on here. So again, we know we're zero beating because we've got that yellow light lit up. Noise blanker's on. I'm trying to get rid of some of that line noise. Antenna tuner's on. We've got, again, we're on 40 meters. AGC's on fast, 14.2 volts. There's our S meter. 500 hertz is our filter width. There's our SWR meter. And again, we've got a color pan adapter and a color waterfall that is actually very, very responsive. This is a much more responsive screen than the screen on the FX4CR. The FX4CR is a little sharper, but this one reacts faster. Both the waterfall and the pan adapter react faster. It's easier to see signals on this radio. This guy's name's Ken. Lives in Massachusetts. So, again, this is a pretty simple layout. You know, we've got our volume, our multifunction knob, our function button to change the different functions of these guys, our VFO, our preamp and attenuator, our compression, our noise blanker, our AGC, our mode and band buttons are on the top, our tune buttons right there if we want to hit the tuner and tune up. But all in all, we've seen this radio before. We know what it is. This is a pretty good entry-level field radio. That's W1AW stroke 3 that we're listening to right now. So he's on 7.042. So I think we'll try to tune that same thing in on the other radio. So, let's turn that off. Let's unplug our power and unplug our antenna. Now again, I'm not going to transmit on the TX-500 because it doesn't have a tuner, and this is a random wire antenna. So we're going to listen, but we're not going to transmit. Now I'll hook a dummy load up so we can hear what the side tone sounds like. I'm going to use the same Pro Audio Engineering power supply to power this radio because I do have an adapter for it. Like I said, the end of this is the same barrel adapter that like all the Elecraft radios use. This is the GX12 connector for the FX, or not the FX4CR, the TX-500. You can buy these on Amazon. You can get them a lot of places. People are like, oh, it's got a proprietary connector. It's not. You can get these all over the place, and they're pretty easy to make. This comes apart. You can pop the pins out, solder them on the end of the wire. They're really pretty straightforward to use. So don't let the connectors scare you away. Some people are a little skittish about the connectors. Don't be. So let's go ahead and hook this guy up. Get some power here. Get our antenna adapter. Oh, I'm going to knock my radio over. I got to tighten the tension up on that stand a little bit. Put our BNC adapter on our antenna. Let's see if I can get enough length here to hook this up. We may have to turn the radio a little bit, which is okay. Stand this thing back up so we can see it on camera. All right, I am going to kill the lights overhead so we don't get that crazy glare. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and fire this radio up. Oh, you know what I forgot? We're not going to hear anything because this radio does not have a speaker. I need a speaker mic. So let's go ahead and hook the mic up to this thing. Same idea. Ooh, look at that. All of a sudden we've got sound. Hook that up. And we're going to go back down to the same frequency we were on the other radio. Turn the brightness down on this light above us a little bit here. See if that helps. Hopefully you can see that screen. It's very hard. It's very hard to tell what this is going to look like on camera when you actually watch the video. Everything looks great in the GoPro, and then you watch the video and it's not amazing. All right, so let's go ahead and dial that same frequency. That's 7042. We're already on 40 meters, so. So like I said, this is W1AW stroke 3. You'll see it showing up down here in the CW decoder. The CW decoder on this works fairly well. Again, I've got tons of line noise here right now. I apologize for that sort of frying bacon sound, but it is what it is. I can't really do anything about it. So you can see all the different CW signals on here. There are these little lines. All right. This radio is pretty easy to use. So we've got 8 menu buttons across the face of this radio. 4 on the top here and 4 on the bottom here. Those menus correspond to what is directly beneath these. These 2 buttons right here will scroll through those menu functions. So if I hit that, it's like there's our noise reduction, our noise blanker, my squelch, my RF gain, my preamp and attenuator. Hit it again, I can A and B, phono on split, my AGC, CW speed, CW pitch, power, Vox, tone. So if I want to use a tuner, it's pretty easy, just a tone button. All right, so here's our memory. If you're going to run the external battery pack for this thing, it's right there. We can change the meter to different things. Right now I've got an S meter and power meter. Our CW memories. All right, so you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we've got a lot of different things in here. You can see that we're in CW. We're running filter 3, which is, I've got it set at, yeah, this is probably got it pretty narrow right now. It's at about 100 hertz. Let's go ahead and open that filter up. So there's 500 hertz, and you can hear all that line noise pretty bad on this radio. This radio has a very, very, very good receiver, so it picks up all of that garbage. Let's dial this down and see what we can find here for signals. Whatever that is, sounds digital. That's just a tone, a solid tone. Here's some CW right here. You can tell we're zero beating because we got that little diamond there. All right. Our gain is over here. Our AF gain is right here. Again, that's our filter width. This radio is pretty simple to use. The deeper menus, if I want to change power, obviously on and off, band up and down, mode. So if we want to change from CW to, single sideband or digital or whatever, use the mode button. Filter button cycles through the different filters. And you can set the filters to different widths. You can configure, there's multiple different filter widths you can configure, and then you just scroll through them with the filter button. The menu button down here at the bottom, if I hit that. All right, so you can see right now I'm in the receive pan scale menu, and you can see I've got menu up, menu down, and sub menu. So if I go to sub menu, it gives me other options for this particular menu. All right, so there's my transmit pan adapter scale. My transmit meter currently is for power. So when I transmit, this S meter turns into a power meter. Let's see, powers. Let's see. I've got the audio set for outdoors, so there's an indoor and an outdoor setting. A lot of it just ends up being volume. Let's see, the beep key. So you can set this up so when you hit the keys, it beeps. I've got that turned off. Your time, you can set the time. There's a time correction. This does have a real-time clock. So you'll see right there, it says it's 23:37, okay? So again, I like radios that have real-time clocks. This one has one. I can change the contrast of the screen. You can turn the CW decoder on and off. Let's see. We can do, we can change the CAT protocol. So you can do a TS2000 Kenwood, or you can do TX-500. You can set the CAT protocol different ways, and the radio will do different things. CAT works fairly well with this radio. Intelligent encoder, the faster I move this encoder, the faster the VFO moves this frequency. So if I move it slow, it moves in small increments. And if I spin it faster, it moves in larger increments, which is kind of cool. I can change my CW pitch, my CW speed. Now this does character speed and not word speed, which is kind of weird. So it doesn't words per minute. This isn't words per minute, it's characters per minute. I've got it set to 115, which is about 21 words a minute. It comes out to be roughly. My CW weight, the key type, you can set it iambic or straight. You can set it up to do CW beaconing, your AGC. All right, all of those different things are in here. Your power, you can adjust the power through this menu, or you can do it through the other menu. Your mic gain, noise reduction level. There's all sorts of things here. Notch, this has got a really good notch filter, and it's an auto notch filter. You don't need to move the notch filter around to notch things out. It does it for you. It's really cool. You turn the notch filter on and it notches out. Somebody's tuning up on top of you, you hit the notch filter and it's just gone. You don't need to move the notch around, nothing. It's really neat. Your different squelch, Vox levels, AM, FM enable or disable, your voice compression, there's an equalizer in here. So there's a low filter, a mid filter, and a high filter. So you can change the equalizer in this to dial in the sound of this radio, which is really nice. This radio does sound good. It has very, very good receive audio. Again, we're back into our pan scale stuff. So we're just going to get out of the menu. So let's see if we can find some single sideband stuff to listen to. So let's go ahead and spin the dial up to, whoop. Like I said, I've got to tighten the screws up in this stand. Let's go ahead and spin this up to, you can see the faster I spin this encoder, the faster that moves through the band. So let's go ahead and change this to, whoops, there's a lower sideband. See if we find a better signal. This one looks good.
With a QSB, but certainly no problem copying you there, my friend. So have yourself a great evening. Thanks for coming back to my call. 73 Joe, KC3SAU, VE3DIG.
And again, that frying bacon sound is that line noise. That's not this radio. All right, that's that line noise that the power company's got to fix. And again, it's very easy to find signals on this because we got a pan adapter, so we can see them on there. All right. Lost my signal there. Whoever that was went away.
Everything's well with you, my friend. Sounding pretty good. Sounding a lot stronger this evening than usually. I remember speaking to you a few times, but you got a great signal this evening.
So anyway, this radio, like I said, that frying bacon noise is just the line noise. This radio doesn't normally sound like that. If you watch any of my videos where I use this radio, you can very clearly hear that it's a lot better than that. So this radio is very easy to use. The menu structure is well thought out. It's obvious that the people who designed this are hams and they use field radios, much like the LNR Precision guys and the Elecraft guys. The people from Lab599 are definitely know what they're doing. When they designed this radio, they designed it very well. So let me turn it off and let me unhook the antenna here. And let me undo my BNC adapter here, and let's grab our dummy load, and we'll hook a key up to this thing. Now, one of the downsides with this radio is you do need adapters for everything, right? So nothing just plugs directly into the radio because we've got all these GX12 connectors. Again, not a big deal to me. Some people don't like these. I don't mind them. Slide it in. You don't even need to screw this down, but I'm going to. That's our CW key adapter. So we'll go ahead and we'll plug a key in. All right, hook our dummy load up. Fire our radio back up. All right, so you're seeing spikes of RFI from all of the other stuff around. All those spikes you're seeing on the screen. Like I said, this light directly above me. We've got all that line noise and everything. So this radio is seeing that stuff on the pan adapter. So if I key this up, oh, duh, got to be in CW mode to key up. If you watch, we've got SWR right here. I don't know if you can read that or not, but it says 1-to-1 SWR. And you see we're putting out about 11 watts, maybe a little more than 11 watts. So this S meter turns into a power meter when we key it up. SWR is 1-to-1. There's our power. And if I turn the power down, so if I scroll through to the, whoops. If I scroll through to the power menu, right here, I can click power. I can do this through the main menu or not. You can see I'm currently at 100. We'll go ahead and we'll turn that power down to 10%. This goes in percent. All right. So we'll hit return. So now we're at 10% power. So now if you watch that power meter, you'll see it's not even moving and we're still at a 1-to-1. We'll turn the power up to 50%. And again, we should be at a 1-to-1 SWR. We're on a dummy load. So there we go. We're back at, now we're at 50% power, which is what I normally run this radio at. You can see that's about 6 watts. There's 5, there's 7, we're right in the middle, so we're putting out about 6 watts. Like I said, this radio will put 11, 12, sometimes on some bands this I think will go as high as 13.5 watts. All right, you can hear the side tone is nice and clear. Like I said, the CW decoder on this does a reasonably good job. It's not as good as the one on the True SDX, but it's better than all the rest of the radios I have. Again, I don't use decoders really. I mean, I have it on just in case I happen to miss something. I can look down at the screen and look at it. But most of the stuff I do, I don't have time to look at the screen. I'm logging or I'm sending. So, right. So, all in all, this radio is a pleasure to use. Now, this is a radio. This is a relay radio. I don't know if you can hear the relays clicking. All right, I don't find it obnoxious. It's pretty quiet. All in all, you know, this radio is really, really nice to use on CW. Even though it is a relay radio, it's really not obnoxious. So let's go ahead and kill this radio, unhook everything, and then let's have a discussion about these two radios. Hook all this stuff so that we're just left with the radio. And again, you can buy these GX12 connectors on Amazon. You can buy them all over the place. And building these adapters is really not an issue. I built one for headphones. It took me about 5 minutes. It comes with a headphone adapter, but it's got headphones. It's got an adapter for, it's got a push to talk, a bunch of other stuff, which I didn't want. I just wanted a headphone adapter, so I made one. All right, so let's turn the brightness of the light here back up. And where are we working? There it goes. Okay. So we got that back up there. Let's bring our G90 back up. It's gonna be hard to get both these radios in frame because these are both pretty big radios. Now, this radio is very deep. This one is very wide, but it is extremely thin, right? If I take this out of this 3D printed case or the 3D printed stand, right, this radio is very svelte. It is very, very thin. All right, I mean, this radio is built so well. It's hard to even comprehend until you hold one in your hands. I'll leave it out of the stand for right now, and we'll just lay it down on its standard feet, right? So it comes with these little flip down feet. There, just little steel, I think they're steel feet. And it puts it at a decent viewing angle. It's not as good as it is with the QRP store stand, but it's not bad. So let's do what we do every time here, and let's talk strengths and weaknesses of these two radios. All right, and see if we can come up with a winner. So let's start with the G90. G90, the price is killer, $445. 20 watts, insanely good tuner, color waterfall and pan adapter. This radio, these both run the same bands. This one's more power. It's got a really good tuner. The TX-500, same bands, 160 to 6. No tuner, but this radio is super rugged. The build quality is exceptional. That monochrome pan adapter is super easy to read in the sun. The receive audio, the filtering, all of those things on this radio are absolutely second to none. In fact, I'm going to say that, and I've said this in other videos, this radio has better audio than any radio I own, and that includes my FTDX10. All right. This one is technically only 10 watts, but like I said, on some bands, it'll put out upwards almost 13 and a half watts. So, you know, that's not a huge difference between 20 and 13. It is. It's a difference, but it's not as big as you might think it is. This definitely puts out more power, though. And that tuner, man, that tuner makes life so easy. It really does. However, at this point in the contest, this radio is just outclassed. I mean, it just flat out is. For as good as this radio is, it absolutely cannot compete with this radio. This radio is in a completely different league, at a completely different price point. The receiver on this radio is leaps and bounds better than the G90 is. I mean, light years ahead. The noise reduction on this thing is fantastic. The notch filtering on this thing is fantastic. The receiver audio is fantastic. The sensitivity is fantastic. This thing is a pleasure to use on single sideband and in CW. It is, like I said, it's water resistant. I wouldn't call it waterproof. I wouldn't want to dunk this in the water, but I will use this in the rain and not worry about it. Batteries, yeah, you got to worry about the battery in the rain, but the radio itself getting wet or snow, I bought it specifically for snow. This thing getting snowed on, I'm not worried about it. It's very, very rugged. These little legs on the front protect the knobs and the encoders when you lay it down. They don't protrude very far. You'll see some little pogo pin adapters here on the back. Those are for the external battery pack that you can buy for this thing, which is obscenely expensive. You take these little rubber plugs out, the battery pack attaches to those. The electrical connections are right here, and then you can have an external battery pack, or an attached battery pack on this radio as well. The current radios are made in the UAE. This is a Russian-made radio. Some people are going to balk at that. I've had people whine about, supporting the Russians. I do not support the Russian government. I have no problem with the Russian people. And I've had people even say, well, that's a cop-out. No, it isn't. Like, what did the Russian people ever do to me? Nothing. I mean, the people who designed and built this radio are just regular Joes like you and me. They just happen to be stuck in Russia. Now, the current ones are made in the UAE. Again, now we're talking the Middle East. People are going to have their problems with that one, too. If it's not made in America, it's not good. Well, there aren't that many radios that are made in the U.S. We'll have some here shortly. But you got slim pickings, and they've got some downsides. All right, just because it says it's made in the U.S. on it doesn't mean it's amazing. Just because it's made in China doesn't mean it's junk. Just because it's made in Russia doesn't mean this supports Vladimir Putin. Okay, so I don't want to hear any of that nonsense. This radio, for what it is absolutely, positively stellar. All right, in my opinion, this is one of the best field radios you can buy. Full stop. End of story. It's rugged. It's small, at least thickness-wise. This packs very easily. The receiver on this thing is fantastic. You really can't go wrong with this radio. It doesn't have a tuner. It doesn't have an internal battery. No fancy color display or anything. I know when I first saw this radio, I'm like, man, you want $1,200 for a radio with a monochrome screen? It's worth it. And you can buy these used for, $900, $1,000, and you're going to have a radio that is every bit as good as a brand new one for a little bit less. And that goes for all of these radios. Most of these radios you can buy used and they'll cost a little bit less. The exceptions to those are the MTR3B and the KX1, because they don't make those anymore and they're very, very desirable. So at any rate, in this particular instance, it's the TX-500 all day, every day. That G90 is a great radio, but it can't compete. It can't compete with this slab of aluminum here. All right. So we're getting down to the wire here. We've only got one radio left in the stable to compare this to. And I think everybody knows what that radio is going to be. And this is going to be an epic showdown. This radio and that radio, that one's going to be tough. I'm not sure which way that one's going to go. When we get to the end and we get a winner of these radios, I'll pit whatever radio here wins against the KX1, and we'll see who's the king of the hill here. But right now, it's got to be this TX-500. Like I said, if you can get your hands on one of these things, if you've ever used one, some people don't like I said, the all the adapters sticking out the sides. I'm trying to not get a glare on this screen. No matter what I do, I've got one. Some people don't like the adapters sticking out of the sides and things like that. But for me, I don't really mind that all that much. I'm kind of used to it at this point. You know, nothing's really in the way. It all just sort of sticks out of the side. So, like I said, today's winner, TX-500, fantastic radio. Best built radio that I've got in the stable, hands down. This is, other than getting your hands on like a Harris or a military radio, this is probably going to be the best built radio you're going to be able to buy on the commercial market. So with that being said, the next one will be the last radio. Now, if I get more radios, like I said, I'm looking at my next purchase. I want to get an IC705. I'm not going to buy one right now, but when I get one, I will put that up against whatever radio wins this shootout. All right. So, like I said, for today, it's the TX-500. And in the next installment, we'll see who the king of the hill is. So, thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully you got some good information out of this. And if you're looking at buying any of these radios, I hope it gave you a little bit of an idea as to what the radios are capable of, what some of the features are and things like that. So with that being said, I really appreciate you watching. Until the next one, 7-3.